各位亲爱的网友朋友，大家好。
Hello everyone.
情商啊，其实是可以训练。
Emotional intelligence is something that we can train and learn.
虽然个性上确实也有人天生情商比较高或者
In fact, there are people who are born with a higher level of EQ.
其实是可以学习的。
But from our observations, that's something that can be learned too.
呢，其实在我们的办公室群体还有我们的禅堂群体呀，这些小群体都引起了非常热烈的讨论。其实大家也都是在笑侃自己如何。
Actually, Master, this topic has got us to have a lot of discussions at our meditation centers. And we discussed whether we have high level of EQ. So we kept asking one another whether am I having a low EQ behaviors or whether I have a high EQ behaviors.
有一些师兄师姐有的时候说话评论的时候我们就会注意提醒注意情商
In fact, sometimes when we discuss, when we notice that some Dharma brothers or sisters that show a little lower level of EQ, we would highlight to them.
来提高我们的情商。
But indeed, it is very important to raise our emotional intelligence, and that's why we are here for this class, for this emotional intelligence class.
一个是有一些活灵活现的这种小故事。那么第二个呢，我们再增加一些分析。
So what we're going to do is that today we will discuss a few of these stories, and we'll try to analyze the stories. I heard that you have some to share. Yes, it's Xiaoyue. This Xiaoyue is from Singapore. She shared that she has a very slender figures, and ever since her husband and her aunt, who adopted her, fell ill and passed away, her weight has decreased dramatically. When relatives and friends see her, they always tell her not to eat more, try to eat more good food. The first thing that they say is, "Why are you so thin?" Although that's out of concern, but these negative greetings make her feel very annoyed. She didn't want to be this thin, but just that her body just won't gain weight. What can she do? So one day, she went to the meditation center to light a lamp, and the Dharma sisters immediately expressed great surprise when she saw her and said, "Wow, why are you so thin?" At that time, she was undergoing a difficult times of her life, and that's why she went to the center to light a lamp. So her mood was quite low, and when the Dharma sisters said that to her, she replied directly, "Can you say something positive? I'm really very sad about being thin, and I hope to gain some weight." Well, she knew that she didn't handle her emotion well at that time, but constantly receiving such negative greetings make her feel very uncomfortable and didn't know how to deal with it. So she sought Master's guidance.
其实大家说的是不是实话？
Actually, it's how you speak. Everybody is telling the
其实
truth.
心都是好的。
It's important to be honest and tell the truth. But sometimes by saying it,
哇，怎么瘦了这么多呀？我的就可能会直白。
哎呀，我就会说太好了。
actually I'll say, "Oh, very good. You don't want to be so direct."
那假设你要说瘦了，你是开心的，对吧？
对我这样的体
Well, if I tell you slim, are you happy?
回来
Yes.
说你确实有一天给发胖了，咱们1个月没见，觉得就是胖了一圈儿，说哎呀，屋里最近这个饮食不错呀，就可能我也会说这个哈，但是你可能心里听着就，
So I say
哎
that,
呀，这个人生怎么如此艰难啊？
well, if I say, "Well,
我觉得
Uli,"
吧，头2句还能接受，大家哈哈笑。但是如果每一个人见到我都是这么说，
well, I think if everybody lament that I'm actually
觉得哎呦
negative comments about me, I think I will not be able to receive it very well because it seems like the negative comments reinforces one another.
是，
对，其实我也不想打妄语，但是有时候其实出于关心，而不是为了诽谤你，
对，
并不是希望让你这个不开心。
有一点负担。
所以这位小月是吧？
So for
实际
Xiaoyue,
呢她到禅堂去的时候，
she
她
go
没
to the
想到
center.
禅堂的世界也给她这么说。哎呀，
If she go to the center and our Dharma sisters make that comment,
其实我们说话的人
she will feel very bad.
通常比较不太容易。
A lot of time, the one who say that,
这样的身体特征的人的那种思考下，是呢，大家没想到。就是我们觉得是由衷的说，你怎么瘦这么多？
well,
比如说。 从
we may say
健康角度哈，一个人如果突然间
a person, if it's very healthy
其实是
and suddenly slim down or lost a lot of weight, it is not a good
突然
sign.
间瘦下去了，
Or usually someone put on a lot of weight, maybe they don't have good emotion. So if suddenly within 1 to 2 months, if they lost 10 kg, it's very bad. You should quickly seek the doctor's help. But if it's not so serious, or people notice that you lost quite a fair bit of weight,
甚至是肥胖啊，还有黑白啊，是不是啊？甚至说今天头发弄什么样啊，甚至还有说今天化妆的怎么样啊，就说到与你的身体。
So if we make comments relating to the physical bodies
相关的这种状况的话，我认为哈，禅他那个师姐哈
，I think the center,
他并没有有
the Dharma sister,
告诉他，他如果
maybe she's not aware.
哎，因为不知道说瘦好还是说胖好。
Maybe not just maybe you shouldn't comment about like she's too avoid giving stressful greetings. Only positive things. Do not comment on someone's physical appearance, but mainly focusing on discussing well-being and health.
你只能说别提身体这方面的事儿，是不是啊？哎呀，好久没见你啊，师姐真想你，这样就完了。就，所以我也是逼着没办法哈。这小月师姐这么说，其实我也不知道怎么办。可能你到哪里见到我之后说，哎呀，你怎么瘦这么多？对，说你呢，结果又如五雷轰顶一般，我怎么又被炸了一回？
So actually for her, because people have been making these negative comments on her again and again, so it will actually cause very bad impact on her.
啊，就是直接或者这么的来交流。
我觉得如果认识的话哈，就曾经见过面，就
If you
我很想你哈。
If you know a person and you haven't seen a person for long, you may say things like, "Oh, I really miss you. How have you been?" Do not specifically mention the physical attributes, physical appearance. So focus on that person's overall well-being.
真是的，哎呦，我觉得我这一点特别要提醒自己，就是
I think this is something that I always need to remind
人家其
myself.
实，比方说，如果脚不小心扭伤了，人家还想掩盖一点哈，就还忍着痛，还不想让你看出来。我经常就特别不长眼的说：“哎，你脚怎么了？你脚怎么了？”就是真是哪壶不开提哪壶的那种。
人家说：“哎，你什么事儿？我脚怎么了？哎，你什么事儿？”
Or something like, "What happened to your leg?"
我正不想让人
And
看出来
sometimes I say it, but actually maybe I don't want to show people that I have some problem with my leg. And why is it that you specifically highlight that?
所以这个情商到底是个什么东西？
So what exactly is this EQ?
不要说到人痛处呗，就是这个。
Basically, I think it's not to comment on something that will cause negative feelings on that
不容易
person.
生气呀、失望的话呢，他如果越是有身体特征，我们尽量的不提。
Actually, if that person have very specific physical attributes that's on the negative side, we try not to bring that up.
这样我们可以议论一下的，是不是啊？但是说的时候还是嘴下留情，尽量不要说那些让你感觉比较痛快的话。你感觉痛快，对方不痛快了。
So people may not like to hear that.
收着点儿。
是学到了。
对对对。
好的。
所以呢，朋友们就尽量不要说对方这个身体方面的一些问题，比如说胖啊。
So let's not try to comment a person on the physical attributes, like the person is fat, or the person walk with a very shaking motions, or something that's negative to the effect. We try to avoid doing that.
好的。
就是说，有可能对方不希望我们提这件事儿，那提了之后，你看，像小月师姐她就不愉快了。那我们不知道她愉不愉快，所以尽量少提这个问题。
So
所以在西方人老外经常一见面，哇，还好吧。
it's not like, if you look at those Westerners, when they greet one another, they always talk very generic things. So they are quite positive in their greetings. How have you been?
所以有的时候我们
It's like drizzling outside, something very generic.
别有修养的一些某种身份的
Be
人
more
去见了面之后，就打招呼比较会打啊。
So people who are more,
很想你啊，哇
who make me comments like, "Oh, I haven't seen you for very long. I really miss you very much. You look great."
啊，你就不能天天说你怎么胖了这么多呀啊？最后补了一句，这个就麻烦。所以咱们就说话尽量不提身体的特征方面的话。
好的。
就说一些
So let's
通常
try to avoid talking the physical
大众
attributes.
市场上
We talk something more generic.
冠冕堂皇的 堂皇的问候的话就够了啊。对。
感恩师傅，我们学好了。
所以我们在
We learned this. Thank you,
接待
Master.
大家的时候也要小心哈，说话的时候小心，就是对方来解脱了，叫你一句话又打入地狱去啊，就麻烦了哈。
对。师傅，那我们给小月送一个礼物吧。
啊，送礼一定要安慰她。
So we must give her a present to try to comfort her.
吃饭吃得香，然后快点恢复身体健康。
如果这样哈，我呢送她2个小礼物哈，一个是呢
I have 2 presents for her. First is the pu'er tea. This age pu'er tea has been placed for very long. And there is also an energy bagua, this batch, 1,000 days energy bagua batch. So with this pu'er tea, drink it every day, and it comes with good blessings. And I hope that you will have auspiciousness and you will have good health. Thank you, Master.
接下来呢，我们还有一位网友明明哈。
Master, we have another sharing from Ming Ming, and maybe masters can provide some guidance in this aspect. Hello, Master. I'm Ming Ming. I recently started work in a company, and there are many senior colleagues I need to seek advice from in my job. And among them, there is one senior colleague who behaves like a miser. So during meals and gatherings, we typically share expenses. But he always said, who can pay first? Because I'm the newcomer, so I often end up paying for him. And he conveniently forgets to repay. I don't want to ask for it back because it's awkward. Sometimes he even insists that we, the juniors, should treat him. And if we don't treat him, he accuses us for being stingy. When we occasionally ask him to treat us, he claims that we are petty and calculating. So, Master, how should I handle this freeloading senior colleagues with? There's no model answer.
我觉得吧，师傅，他这个因为刚入职嘛，哈，很多事情要请教前辈。那你请教人家，人就像老师一样，请老师吃顿饭也是应该的，多请几顿。请教就得请吃饭。
So if you consider that person as a senior colleague, you may need to seek that person help. So if you want to seek that person help, it's important for you to buy a meal. That will help to bond with the team.
希望这样子做的，他不高兴的是这个
要求，可是你自己呢没有做出任何大方的表现啊。
So you have needs from others and you don't show anything, so that person will not feel too comfortable with it. How should I explain this? There's no right or wrong. I think the question is what you want to learn from the department. I don't think it represents everyone, but it's just my personal point of view. What I believe is what Kunti says, that if you want to learn more and if you are junior, you are new, then it's important for you to offer meals to your seniors, or there are opportunities for you to do more. You just want to do more good deeds to actually invest in interpersonal relationships. But from my personal experience, maybe you don't want to join all types of gatherings, or you may say that, oh, I have something on, so I will not join this. It's your personal choice. So don't be afraid that you feel uncomfortable, because if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to join the gatherings. So if you feel uncomfortable when you join such gatherings because of the payment, you can choose not to go. Actually, this is not a major problem in life.
为了跟我们凑热闹哈，也提出了这个问题的话呢，如果当过一个问题来讨论一下，我觉得我们可以说的稍微庄严了一点哈。
Well, I think eventually it depends what's your objective.
我们中国文化哲学之中哈，通常就是说，
For the Chinese,
如果我们称为所谓的君子的这样的人，
if you feel that the person is a noble person,
什么是君子呢？
What is considered as a noble person? First, a noble person tend to be more open-minded, more magnanimous. They will be the one to take the responsibilities, and they can bear some troubles and worries as well. They are okay to pay the bills. So that is a form of actions. So if that person is very stingy and calculated, do you want to be like them? Do you want to mirror them? So if you join a new organization, and if you want to be able to mix well with your colleagues, your seniors, and if you need their guidance, I feel that in life, you really don't know who will be the one that provide you with guidance and provide you with some to be your benefactors.
那5、6个长辈都有空，是不是？哎，但是等他们买单的时候，我都没空，我都上厕所了哈。这在网上经常这样，有时候买单全部。
Actually, we have seen a lot on the internet. People share that they go for meal, colleagues go for meals together. When it's time to pay, everybody just try to avoid it. So maybe the person is very calculated, or is a miser because the person has different type of habits. Maybe they feel that it's a skill. So, for example, when they are with some high-ranking officers in different countries, they may take something like maybe a name card, maybe a pencil, or they just want to take a little bit of something. Well, if that person is very wealthy, why do they need that? Well, sometimes it got to do with their characters and their habits. But you must understand, you have to take reference to the concept of the way is not far from people. Tao is a very unique thing. For example, this is a senior in the company. The person is a very calculative person. From the Tao, nobody will love you unconditionally. And there's no one who will hate you unconditionally. Or they will not scold you unconditionally. So there must be a reason for them to treat you a certain way. Everything happens because it has a certain meanings. So even these seniors don't even know why he wants you to trick him. But maybe he may help you eventually. So people are not far from the way. So this concept of the way is not far from people. So what exactly is the way? What exactly is Tao? There is this saying that the way, even this name, it doesn't have a defined meaning. What is the way? The way is a path. The path is smooth. But actually, within this, there's a law of nature. So this law of nature got to do with the interrelationships with the weather, and also a sign is the sign of how humans interact with one another. And it is something that is not easy to explain. Why are we all here? Why are we here in this live broadcast? Maybe someone, maybe they are together. They are together, work together many, many years ago. That's in the Tang dynasties. They used to be cultivators, and now they're together. So what is the law of Tao? We just look at history, the life, the river of it. Things are complicated. The relationships, the interpersonal relationships of one human being and other human beings. What about your husband and wife? Like when you look at for your life partner, why is it that you feel for a person? Why you know that, oh, that's the one? Why do you know that that is the person, your life partner? Before that, you may analyze your past previous relationships very logically, but this person suddenly you just seems to have these feelings for the person. It seems to have some currents, electric currents that pass through you when you see the person. The person may not even meet your basic criteria, don't even have academic background and nothing. But a lot of women, that's how they choose their marriage life partner. Why? Because it's predestined. It's just predestined in the previous life. Even where you have a dog and then you adopt a dog, maybe this is also as a destined. It's also fated. So there's no reason how Tao comes together, how the way come together. In fact, when you walk on the street, you find that this person, you just want to help the person. Well, the person may be a cheater, but you just, at the moment, you just feel like helping the person. Some people may say that, well, they will spend some money to give to others. So maybe you just treat it as a portion of your salaries as entertainment expenses to treat the seniors.
知道吗？就是光是铁公鸡一毛不拔，他不懂得这个礼尚往来的人，他找着你要饭吃的话，一定有原因。
There must be a reason why this senior is asking you to treat him. Maybe there's something bigger than this.
但另外一种就是按社交法则来说。
But if you look at it from the point of interpersonal relationships, you just join this organization and you want to get to know everyone well. So who can help you eventually? You do not know. If you do not know, let me tell you, a lot of people, they just throw the darts. This is a very low level. I will actually have a knife that will just I will just have the guns that will just shoot away. So everyone that's within a short distance, they will all be shot. Why? Because eventually, the friends I make is a group of people. Everyone have good opinions of me. They can come and help me eventually. Well, they may not in your plans, but they help you eventually.
没期望的人帮上你了，就是这样。很多人说开玩笑和吃饭的时候他特别积极，真要帮人的时候，他躲得远远的。
Some people say that when you are eating, this person is very active, but when you need some help, the person just avoid you.
他好像有个正义的化身，他出来跟你帮忙，就跟你说好话，说人情，对不对？
对，
就能帮到你。
真是好。
所以我觉得应该去这样做。
好。
So I think this is how you should treat this interpersonal relationships. After Master said this, I feel that a lot of troubles that we face in life are indeed really small matters. So Master, shall we have a present for her as well?
哇，这个漂亮的念珠哈，哇，108颗。
Well, this is a very beautiful chanting beads.
月光菩萨。
月光菩萨宝石哈，你看看配的
Look
这
at
个
this,
紫水晶。
108.
哇，这个真漂亮。
It's so beautiful.
啊，希望保佑这位明明网友哈，如意吉祥，
Wishing Ming Ming auspiciousness, health, and longevity. Thank you, Master.
接下来是我们的一位小武网友。
Now we have a 小武。
麦当劳的经历，新手入行。
小武 about the McDonald's experience.
到一家快餐餐
During my college years, I worked at a fast food restaurant, and there was a male colleague who worked there for 2 to 3 years, and he really disliked me. He often exclude me and not speak to me during our shifts. Sometimes he would intentionally say things that, I have to work with a newbies again. I hate working with newcomers. Say that in front of me. My colleagues would also deliberately leave trash unclean and ask me to do it when I arrive at the restaurant. And when a customer spilled a drink, they wouldn't give me a mop, but just a cloth to kneel and clean it up, making things difficult for me. Once I even overheard my colleagues talking about me and starting a bet on how long I would stay in the job. I remember the longest bet that I would leave within 3 months. So I suddenly vowed that I would endure for more than 3 months to prove to them. While working, I knew that my reaction was a bit slower, as I was learning new tasks which often lead to my colleagues scolding me. So during less busy periods, I practiced improving my working speed and also asked my experienced colleagues for tips. And when scolded, I endured the discomfort and wore a smile on my face and thought, I have to make it through these 3 months. During conversations with colleagues, I listen silently, pay attention to their interests, and found topics to talk to them. For example, they like discussing cars, and I actually asked them about cars. Gradually, my colleagues realized that working with me was actually quite pleasant and easygoing, and we became good friends. Time passes quickly, and 3 months went by. I turned enemies into friends. The workplace was filled with laughter, and I began to love my jobs. I find that working is fun and also can let me earn a salary. I'm so happy.
初来乍到哈，新手入行，最后被老同事们就欺负了啊。
1年以后，他就可以欺负别人。
Well, after a year, he can start bullying others.
从3个月熬到1年。
Well, from 3 months, he can endure to 1 year.
出嫁的媳妇儿是这样。
It is like newlywed
也是挺生的哈。
wife when married into the husband family, they are new.
也是叫磕磕绊绊不顺利。
They are not very smooth. When you're in a new environment,
也有这样的压力。
sometimes it's not easy for them.
相好的同学吧，你说你一转学，人家不可能跟你来呀。哎呀，到一个新的一个这个学校里头去，可害怕了，对不对
？Sometimes in a new place, they are scared.
但对于孩子来说，像一个新的学校这个环境。
But for kids in a new environment, it's important for them to experience it.
还是欢乐呢？哎。但是到了陌生的地方
But every time in a strange time,
还是有阴郁的感觉哈。
although they will be happy, they also have a little bit of worry.
有点被欺负哈。
Because to be bullied, it is quite instinct, a survival mechanism.
这个现象我觉得首先是正常的。
I think it's normal expression.
对，但小五是挺有情商的啊。
But I think Xiaowu has quite a good EQ.
除了工作中的刁难和牺牲以外。还听到别人还堵他。
She even heard that people tried to bet how long she would stay in the organization. So for her, she wanted to endure that 3 months the bet. I think that motivated her drive. The more that people bet that she would leave, the more she wants to prove to them. So she did was, well, you scold me because I'm slow, I endure, and I also smile, wore a smile on my face. Actually, like in the last class, we also mentioned that EQ is actually created in very critical moments. Maybe you listen to words that are not very comfortable, but you know how to react to it. I think she's very good. She demonstrated really well. Whether change a company or change a job, well, when you're new, it's a process everybody have to go through when they first enter the workforce. There is a period for them to get used to it. But because they're in a new environment, they're unfamiliar with the people, with the environment. So it is very easy for people to find that they are very green and they do not know how to move around, they're not used to the job. So there is this period, this phase. So what is important is for them to pass this phase quickly. And after they go through that, it will be bright and the future will be bright. So what they should do is at this period, they should endure and learn as much as they can. The more you learn, the better you become. So she is very good. She managed to integrate herself with the colleagues. You said a very important point. If you are new and someone says some words that's not so comfortable to you, and because of that you leave them, whether you cried or you hide in a corner, that's not good. Because you are not participating in a group. Because it just means that you don't have enough EQ. You have no good control of your emotions. You must learn to integrate. Do not avoid them. In fact, you want to interact with them more so that you can understand better. Maybe you will be able to answer some of the questions. So if you can interact together, well, maybe if you're going home in the same route, you may actually try to go home or take the path together, and you find that you interact better with them. Maybe after that, you'll be able to shine. There's a saying that it is through interactions that we get to learn one another. So you should try not to avoid. Whether we are happy or not, time just passes. In this time and space, time just moves forward. There's no reverse. So you must learn to accept it and move forward. Thank you, Master. Shall we give a present for this friend as well? Xiao Wu is a lady or guy? Is a guy? How about this? Virtual Pastel and wishing you health and longevity and happiness. Thanks for your story. Thank you, Master. It's a very good story. And we have another sharing by Jessica. Jessica is sharing about the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law's conflicts. Master, I have a close friend who struggled with infertility for many years, and after numerous attempts with the husband and enduring hardships, they finally succeeded to welcome their first grandchild. So the mother-in-law dotes on the grandson and dresses him in too many layers of clothes, which lead to the child developing a rash. And whenever the child cried, the mother-in-law will rush over to comfort him. On one occasion, when the child was crying, the mother-in-law nervously rushed into the room. She picked up the child without realizing that my friend, the child's mother, wasn't wearing clothes, which left my friend's feelings very embarrassed. So she quickly covered herself with a blanket. My friend says that when her mother-in-law takes care of the child during the day, she often allowed the child to watch TV and play with a smartphone. As a result, the child's manners and discipline have deteriorated. But when my friend tried to discipline the child, the mother-in-law interferes, and the grandchild gradually learns to seek help from the grandmother. The mother-in-law insists on raising the child her way and says, "Look, the children I've raised have turned out just as fine. Isn't your husband just doing well?" My friend is confused, saying that it's my child. Why can't I raise them my way? She feels that the mother-in-law is nitpicking. And what was once a happy marriage has now become a source of daily stress. She would like the Master guidance on how to maintain this relationship. Thank you, Master. But this is always a conflict relationships. I'm sure you have the experience yourself. For me, after I delivered my kids, I went back to workforce. So I'm full of thanks to my mother-in-law. Because of my mom-in-law that helped me to look after my child, otherwise I cannot return to the workforce. So for me, I have full of gratitude to my mom-in-law. Yes, there's a saying that when you have an old person at home, it's as good as having a treasure at home. Well, if your mom-in-law wants to look after your child, do you feel good about it? You feel safe? Yes. Usually the grandma dotes on the grandchildren. It's natural. In fact, many mother-in-law they will use how they used to their learnings from raising their child onto the grandchildren.
可是我们这位网友呢，他和这公婆之间
But this, from the sharing, we feel that there's some conflicts between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law.
婆婆呢，还就是她有一次喂奶的时候，小孩子哭了嘛，她就要打算喂奶。婆婆突然进来，婆婆紧张。
I think there's one experience whereby when the child was crying, the mom-in-law rushed in to pick up the child. But at that point in time, the daughter-in-law was not wearing clothes, and she felt embarrassed.
她这个问题。她有提问问题。
Did she have any question?
她其实是我们这个朋友是她的闺蜜，和婆婆有这样子的关系嘛，闺蜜就很烦恼，跟朋友诉说，所以就想请师父指导，怎么样能够调整化解婆媳关系，就让婆媳关系。
Yeah, so basically what they want to know is that how can they help to resolve the relationships between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law?
其实我也没情商的人哈。但是这种事儿，你说问了之后，我们要不要实话实说呀
？Well, after the person asked, do you think we should tell the truth?
绕弯子让你快乐哈，但关键是帮不了。
对呀。
I think probably.
今天无论是网友直白的问。
Well, if you ask me a question, I will give you the answer. I will not try to say very flowery language because that will not be able to help you. Maybe those may feel good, but you will not be able to resolve the problems and the conflicts will become much bigger. From my point of view, if your daughter-in-law, if you're in that position,
你看，你没敲门就进来，我衣服还没穿好。或者说你喂孩子喂的那个食物或那么大勺那个量。或者是在某种时候他饿的时候没给他吃，不饿的时候给他吃，等等很多种习惯上来说，我觉得别说媳妇和婆婆之间哈，就是你作为亲女儿生了个孩子。
Actually, the relationship, the conflicts, is not just daughter-in-law and mother-in-law. If your daughter and mother relationships, you can also have such contradictions as well. If you are the daughter and your moms helped you to look after your child, do you think you could have conflicts in your point of view? If, for example, you buy shirts for your son, do you think your son will like that? No, it's just different point of view. So you can be very close, but in your methods, in your habits, in your lifestyles will be different as well. But I think for this daughter-in-law, she feels that this is creating a big problems for her. I think personally, I feel that you must first understand the importance of a relationship with your husband. You feel that your mother-in-law, you don't really like your mother-in-law. So do you like your mother? You can fight with your mom. Your mom will just accept you because you're the daughter, right? But if it's your mother-in-law, and you have conflicts with your mother-in-law, and you start to fight with the mother-in-law, what happened to your marriage? Will you affect your marriage? Will you affect your relationship with your husband? Yes, your husband will be in between. Well, what do you think? Do you think the husband will love you because he married you? But do you think the husband will love the mom? If he's not filial, he will get a lot of scolding from the society as well. So if you are such a daughter-in-law and if you don't have a good relationship with your mother-in-law, your husband may end up to be considered as a not filial son. So if you're someone that's married, your relationship with your father-in-law or mother-in-law, do you think it's important for you to maintain a good relationship with them in order to maintain a good relationship with your husband so that you can have a good marriage? I think everyone will want to make sure that you can ensure that you have a good marriage. You want to ensure a good relationship with your partner. So in order to maintain that good relationship for your own personal marriage, what is important? Because that you must first understand that is the first objective, to maintain that relationship, to maintain that marriage. So what's next is that you must maintain a good relationship with your in-laws. So don't forget that it's the parents-in-law that gave birth to your husband. And if the husband can give up his parents to marry you, I would question his character as well. So as a lady, if you like the husband, if you like the guy, you marry the guy, you marry into the family, you must be able to understand that there's some good and there's bad as well. So you do not want to land yourself with a name as you're not filial daughter-in-law. So it's important for you to manage this relationship with your in-laws. So you didn't wear your clothes. It's your mother-in-law. It's not your father-in-law. I'm sure she's a woman as well. She has seen another woman. She's also a woman. In the northern part, we don't have a proper shower rooms. Everyone. So we have to go for a public bath. Well, in Europe, it's like that too. So in the public bath, you have guys in one public bath room and the females in the separate public bath. So it's just obvious that if you're young, you have a nice figure. And if you're older, your figure is just not attractive. So actually, for her to see your naked body, it's not really a matter. Because when you gave birth, I'm sure the mother-in-law must have helped you during your confinement, helping you through the child rearing. So you must learn to pick what is important. If we learn the Buddha Dharma, we learn that you must give in order to receive. If you do not give, you will not be able to receive. So if you are so picky and you are so calculative with your parents-in-law, what's going to happen to your relationship with your husband? So what will cause you? It will cause you more worries and more trouble. So it's important for you to make a selection. Do you want your husband to love you more? If you want your husband to love you more, you must learn to manage the relationships of your parents-in-law. Isn't this very silly? Your mom-in-law is trying her help to take care of your babies. I know that the words I say may not land well for you, but I'm just trying to be more factual. I'm not here to just use very flowery words to make you feel good. No, I just want to be factual. Because if I'm not factual and if I do not provide you with a different lens of view, you will not be able to solve your problems. So if you want to have a good relationship, it is important for you to maintain a good relationship with your in-laws, especially your mother-in-law. In fact, a lot of families, the daughter-in-laws and the mother-in-laws are such a good relationships that when the husband quarrels with the wife, the mom-in-law will step in and scold the husband, which is the son. So these are things that we learned. You must learn to make selections. You must learn to be magnanimous. So when you're married, after marriage, you must learn to take care of the other person's feelings. So that your relationship will be well maintained and well managed. In fact, a marriage needs to maintain. Let me ask you, if you have a siblings, whether it is brothers or sisters, and if you live to beyond 35 years old and you are not married, do you think you quarrel? Yes. So when you're older and we are financially independent, when you quarrel, You may even end up move out. Even if you're siblings, you will end up that. And if you're a stranger and you come together in a marriage, if two persons' personalities, likings, and different values, if they are so different, if it's not huge difference, it's important to learn to accommodate one another and take care of the other person's feelings, especially the in-laws' feelings. And if this situation, in these scenarios, the mother-in-law really loves the grandchild, so you can go to work and the mother-in-law will be able to help take care of the child. I think in Taiwan, in Hong Kong and Korea, there are some younger people, they refuse to give birth after marriage. Well, the mother-in-law, before they get married, the mother-in-law actually tells them that they don't want to take care of the kids. But after 5 years, 8 years, when they have no kids, the mother-in-law will come and say, please, master, seek your help. Why is it that my daughter-in-law cannot bear a child? But a lot of time the youngsters, they refuse to give birth is because they don't have very high salaries and it's actually very expensive to raise the kids. I don't have to explain this further. I'm sure you understand the meanings behind. So Master, we have a present for Jessica and her friends, her close friends. Wow, there's so many. Wow, this is so beautiful. These are all natural colors. The blue is very rare. And this is the link silver. This is a very nice necklace. This is for Jessica. Wishing you happiness, health. The next story, it's a very interesting story, is a story of Hun Hun from LA. Hello, Master. I'm Hun Hun from LA, USA, and I'd like to share the stories of my fifth aunt. My fifth aunt, compared to the other siblings, appears to be happiest in her marriage. Her husband has a family business, and their 2 sons and 2 daughters graduated from prestigious schools and enjoy a successful career. So this made their family quite rich, and unfortunately, my aunt last year turned out to be quite unhappy, which we believe can be attributed to her lack of emotional intelligence. So during their children's upbringing, my fifth aunt excessively spoiled her younger son. He lived abroad for many years and was the most outstanding among the siblings. He knows how to charm the mother and become the favorite. And fifth aunt would think of the younger sons for everything, favoring him constantly. But in contrast to the elder son, no matter what the elder son did, the fifth aunt always felt dissatisfied with him, believing that he lacked good characters and was unproductive. She thought that he was wasting time and money associated with the wrong crowd. However, those with clear eyes could see that the elder son was actually building important relationships outside and laying a solid foundations for the family business. The fifth aunt's 2 daughters had it even harder. Throughout their upbringings, they often heard the mother say, "A daughter married is like water spilled." Although those words make them uncomfortable due to their young age, they silently endure them. Besides the emotional torment, they also had to serve their younger brother, and like serving an emperor. If they upset him, the mother would sternly criticize them and keep them from leaving the house. Therefore, as adults, they quickly choose to move away from their hometowns. For many years, apart from sending money to express filial piety to their parents, they hardly visit their parents. Because the younger son excelled, so he received a high education at one of the most famous universities in the United States and secured a very high-paying job at the renowned company, and later became a manager and settled down in the US. My fifth aunt frequently boasts to relatives and friends about the younger son's excellence and achievements, which filled her with pride. The elder son didn't perform as well academically as his younger brother. After completing high school, he stayed in the hometown to help manage the family business. Friends and family knew that he was the most suitable to inherit the family business, and everyone recognized his hard work and accomplishments. However, because the younger son was far away from fifth aunt, she went a great length to ensure that majority of the family assets went to him. After fifth aunt's husband entrusted the family business to the elder son, she would discreetly take several $100s daily from the cash register, claiming it was for buying groceries. In reality, she sent this money to her younger son in the US. Although the family finance was managed by the elder son's wife, neither the elder son nor his wife ever revealed fifth aunt's actions. After fifth aunt's husband passed away, the younger son returned home to challenge the elder brother, seeking a redistribution of the family assets. Although fifth aunt's husband had fairly distributed the children's inheritance during his lifetime, the younger son was dissatisfied with the elder brother inheriting the family business. He demanded that a portion of the company's profit to be given to him every month. However, running a family business isn't as easy as it seems, and there are many employees to pay each month. Fifth aunt, as a mother, was far from rational. Her actions over the years helped the younger son take so much money, nearly shattered relationship between her two sons, and almost led the whole family to court. Fifth aunt's behaviors deeply hurt her elder son, who had shown her loyalty and obedience for many years but received no change in her attitudes. In her heart, the distant younger son was always the most perfect. In her eyes, her elder sons and his wife had nothing but flaws. One day, fifth aunt made a major decision to move to the US to live with the younger son. In her impulsiveness, she severed our relationship with her elder sons, two daughters, and all her friends and relatives. Since then, they have no contact. 5 years passed, during which times we had heard nothing from her, as though she had disappeared. Despite numerous attempts to reach her, the youngest son's families never answered the phone. Then, last year, my mother received an unexpected phone call. The call explained that fifth aunt was living in terrible conditions and often confined to a home. Her phone was confiscated, and the younger son was constantly away on business, and his wife spoke harshly to fifth aunt. They requested that we find fifth aunt to provide help. Upon hearing this, my mom was deeply concerned. Finally, after much effort, she located fifth aunt's address and sent my father and my brother to the US to bring her back. Fifth aunt had taken the opportunity while the younger son's wife was away to escape. Upon her return, we believed that the younger son would initiate contact with friends and family to inquire about her well-being. Unfortunately, we overestimated his character. On the second days of fifth aunt's departure, the younger son and the wife quickly went to the bank to transfer all the funds from their joint accounts, including fifth aunt's retirement savings. It was truly unbelievable. To these days, fifth aunt's bitter and unkind words have not ceased, and she has not realized her mistake. We can only face her with tolerance. Looking back, all this happened because of fifth aunt's favoritisms and her unwise handling of family relationships. Her strained relationship with the son's wife also meant that in her later years, she had none of her children's companionships, leaving her estranged from her family. This is a true story of my fifth aunt. And this is a sad story. I think this is the consequences of favoritism. favoring the younger ones and not older ones, and it's very common.
是，结果在那儿摆着呢。
对，这个大家总结经验就好了。
对，
对，那我也送他一份礼物。
好的，师傅。
I have a prize for
我
her.
们寄给他。
好，
You don't take now? We will send to her. Look at this.
和熏香炉
We have this incense burner and a set.
再加上一包香粉哈。
And we also have the incense.
像家里有那个邪气的时候
So when the house there is this negative or evil energies,
拿那个香粉烧一下。
you just burned a little bit of the powder, incense powder.
对，这是非
You
常
can ward off this negative energy.
相聚哈。
It's very beautiful.
太好了。
送给
And
朋
this
友
is
网友
for you,
哎
for internet
他的
friends.
五姨全家呢还是如意吉祥
And
哈
wishing the fifth aunt will be health,
收到
longevity,
感
and
恩师傅
auspiciousness.
好
Thank you,
那
Master.
接下来再跟师傅分享一位网友哈，Susan 她写来的她的一位朋友 Ellie 的故事。
So
哈
we have another
她说
story
亲
shared by
历纸
Susan
上的
about the friend
我
Ellie.
们来听听。她说：“师傅好。
Hello,
在我
Master.
认识的朋友当中
Among my
Ellie
friends,
是在职场
Ellie
晋
is
升中最稳而且最高的人。
A
她
person
的
that
第一
is
份
very
工作是
high
销售
level,
经理的助
of
理，
high level
第二份
jobs.
工作
Her
就
first
是
job was
总
actually a
经理
sales
助理
assistant,
到
and
了
her
第三
second
份
was
工
an
作
executive
就是某
assistant,
集团
and her
某
third
集
job
团的亚洲
was
区
the vice
副总
president
裁。
of the
我
Asian
曾
region
经
for a
问过
certain
艾
group.
莉关于职场
Among
成
the
功
friends
的
I
原
know,
因，
she has the
她
most
直言
stable and
说
highest
这要
career
归功于她
progressions.
的两任
I
前
once
上
asked
司
her。 about the reasons
艾莉
for
的第一
success
任
in the
上司
workplace,
是麦克，
and she
是一
openly
位销
credited
售
her
部的
first
经
two
理，
bosses.
是一个有
The
着华
first
尔
boss
街工
was
作
Mike,
经
a
历的
sales
青年
department
才俊。
manager, a
当
young
年竞
talent
争
with
销售助
experience
理
on
工
Wall
作的
Street.
时候，有3位
At
人
that
员。
time, there were
艾
three
莉的条
candidates
件并
competing
不
for
算
the
突
sales
出，
assistant
但她为
positions,
什么可以
and
通过
Eileen's
竞争
qualification
激烈
was
的
not
面
particularly
试成为销
outstanding.
售
So
助理
what
呢？
made her stand out
至于
and
麦克
land
为
the
什么选了
competitive
她，
job?
这就
And
要
why
得益
did
于
Mike
面
choose
试
her?
权的一
It all
团卫
thanks
生
to a
纸。
roll of toilet
当
paper
时
before the
刚到
interview.
公司的艾莉碰上了一
When
位还
Ellie
在
just
打扫的
arrived
阿
at the
姨，
company,
阿姨
she
收拾好垃
encountered a
圾准备
cleaning
离
lady
开，
who was
不小
about to
心把
leave
其中
after
的一团
finishing her
卫
work.
生纸落在地上。
However, the cleaning
不
lady
少工作人
accidentally
员
dropped
从那
a
团
roll
卫
of
生纸
toilet
旁边
paper on
经
the
过，
floor.
都跟没看
Many
见一样。
employees walked
可是
past
只
the
有
toilet
艾莉
paper
蹲
as
下
if they
来
hadn't
捡
seen
了
it.
起来，
But
然后
Ellie
一路
squatted
小跑
down to
追
pick
上
it
阿
up
姨。
and jogged over to
艾莉
the
穿着高跟
cleaning
鞋跑
lady.
起来很不给力，
So Ellie
可是她
attempted to
很有
run
礼
in
貌
high
地
heels
把
that
卫
was
生
quite
纸投
unimpressive.
进了阿姨
But
手
she
中的垃圾
politely
桶，
handed the
然后跟
toilet
阿姨
paper to the
对视
cleaning
一笑。
lady and they
这一幕
exchanged
恰巧被
smiles.
经过的麦
These
克看
scenes
见
happened
了，
to be
而
witnessed
那
by
时
Mike,
艾莉
who
并
was
不知
passing
道
by.
这个人
At
就
that
是即
time,
将要
Ellie
面
has
试
no
她的
idea
考
that
官
this
之一。
person would be one of the
后来，艾莉
interviewers
成为
about
了
to
销
evaluate
售
her.
经理、销售经理
After
的
Ellie
助理之后
became
呢，
the sales
主要的
assistant,
工作
her
就是
main
汇
tasks
报资
included
料、安
reporting
排会议
data,
室、发布会
arranging
议
meeting
记录、
rooms,
安排麦克的
publishing
工作日
meeting
程等。
records, and
那个时
organizing
候，
Mike's
艾
work
莉才
schedules,
刚开始
among
工
other
作，
things.
很多工作
She had
细节
just
在
started
部里
working
外
and was
都
unclear
是
about
麦克
many
一
work
手教
details,
她的。
and it
好
was
在
Mike
她
who
聪
taught
明
her
领悟力
everything.
高，只用3个月
Fortunately,
就
she was
适应了
smart
所有
and
的
quick
工
to
作。
learn,
那
and she
助理这
adopted
个工
to
作
all
可
the
大可
tasks
小，
in just
要
3
看做
months.
事的那个人
And
怀着怎
assistant
样的
jobs
心
can be
态。
significant
原
or
本艾莉也
insignificant
只是只
depending
把
on
目
the
光放在
position's
工作本
attitudes
分
towards it.
上的这样的一个人。但不久后，
Initially,
麦
Ellie
克
was
的一个问
focused solely
题
on her
点
job,
醒了她。
but not
那
long
是在一次
after,
销售
a
会议
questions
结束
from
之
Mike
后，
reminded
麦
her.
克就会议
It
上提出
happens
了一个
after
难
a
点，
sales
询
meeting
问
where
艾莉
Mike
的
had
看
asked
法。
her for her
这
opinions
个
on
问
a
题把艾
difficult
莉给
point
问倒了，
that he
一
has
时半刻
raised
答
during
不
the
出来，
meeting.
尴尬的很。
Ellie was stumped by
麦
the
克倒是
questions
脾
and
气
couldn't
好，
answer
让
on
艾
the
莉回去
spot.
好好想想，
Feeling
第
very
二天再给
embarrassed,
她一个答
Mike,
复。
however, had a
艾
very
莉就
good
把会
temper
议上讨
and
论的
told
所
her to
有
take some
问题
time
都
to
一
think
一
it
过
over
了一
and
遍。
give him an
有
answer
不
the
明白
next
的地
day.
方，她还去虚心
Ellie
请教
went
各
over
领
the
域的
issues
业务
discussing
员。
in the meeting
这
one
样
by
忙碌了
one,
一整
and
晚，
if there's
对方
anything
才
she
有了
didn't
自己的想
understand,
法。
She would consult the various business representatives. She spent the whole night working on this, and only then did she come up with her own thoughts. On the second day, Ellie nervously presented her view to Mike. Mike remained expressionless, not saying it was right or wrong, just nodding faintly, and instructed her. From now on, after every meeting, apart from the meeting minutes, you need to prepare a proposal for me. Ellie wondered why Mike, who was about to leave the company, would assign such a complex task, considering she was just a humble assistant. Despite her lack of understanding, she took this task seriously. Every time Ellie provided proposals, Mike would write a lengthy commentary underneath her emails. Ellie noticed Mike's dedications were learning, and as a result, became more determined to improve. Over time, Ellie began to grasp the entire operation operations of the sales department. She not only addressed issues raised during meetings, but also became adept at negotiations with clients and pricing specifics. Ellie learned the skills with a clear focus. Gradually, Ellie becomes Mike's deputy when he was away on business and represented him at management meetings. Her understanding of various aspects of the business expanded, and her responsibilities grew broader. Just when Ellie thought that she would continue in this capacity, Mike was relocated back to the United States. Before departing with Mike's strong recommendations, Ellie became executive assistant to the general manager. Her new boss, general manager Robert, has a personality that was the complete opposite of Mike. While Mike was reserved and didn't engage in small talk, Robert was sociable and work wasn't everything to him. Most importantly, he didn't focus on the methods. Results were all that matters. Ellie, accustomed to Mike's clear and structured approach, struggled to adapt to Robert's unorthodox methods. For example, Mike only drank black coffees, whereas Robert enjoys latte mochas and caramel macchiatos, whatever he felt like. Initially, Robert didn't entirely trust Ellie, despite having heard her reports during management meetings. Gradually, he noticed her many strengths. Ellie was very perceptive and could determine the coffee Robert wanted by his expressions on the given day. She meticulously prepared her report and presented multiple solutions for resolving conflicts. What was most valuable was Ellie's global perspective, something Robert didn't see in his previous assistants. Consequently, he highly valued Ellie and intentionally mentored her. So Robert started taking Ellie to important events, showing her the latest industry articles and analytical data, and sent her to the company HQs in the United States for high-end training to improve her communication skills. So if Mike laid a solid foundation for Ellie, Robert added layers to it. Ellie worked for Robert for 8 years, during which her personal abilities and wealth significantly increased. In her early 30s, Ellie was presented with opportunities for greater career development. Robert's strong recommendations secured her a position as the vice president for the Asia-Pacific region of a multinational corporation. Thanks to Robert's guidance, Ellie became the youngest female senior executive in the company's history. Ellie achieved this position through Mike's trainings and Robert's guidance. They put her on a fast-track and accurate track to success. Some say Ellie was lucky to have encountered people who appreciated her right at the beginning of her career. But for most people, such circumstances are really rare. So is merely good luck, or is a high level of emotional intelligence involved?
对，然后我是觉得这个艾莉呀，确实是一个情商高的孩子。
I feel that Ellie has high EQ.
作为经理，他要提拔谁，其实在他眼里，他都是会在观察的。
A lot of time,
他会看谁的素质好，有那
the
个潜力。
manager will observe all the staff to see who has the potential to grow and be promoted.
第二个是打动了 Robert，
I think she touched both Mike and Robert.
非常好的潜质，以几个表现，第一个是主动的去捡起了那个谁都不在乎的那些纸啊什么的。
And for her, picking up the roll of toilet paper becomes a good deed that she did, unaware that it was witnessed by Mike.
小事情说明他这个孩子是在意的，对吧？
And she's very meticulous in her work.
说明他是爱护这个工作单位的。
So she loved the organizations. I think the boss can see that she's responsible, hardworking, and eager to learn.
为什么？这是加班啊，还要特别的去写很多报告。
And secondly is that they gave a lot of work for her, requiring her to work overtimes and also to do a lot of reports. But I think Ellie is good. She didn't think that it was because the boss tried to make it difficult for her. She felt that it's a good opportunity for her to learn. So I think it's her attitude. She has very good attitude. So whatever opportunities that the boss gave her, the learning opportunity, she grabs it and do it well. So I think for the noble person to help you, first of all, you must be worthy of that noble person's help.
欣赏的这些特质表现出来。
So I think she has all these attributes.
我也说两句哈。觉得第一
Let me add here.
就是艾莉来应聘的时候
First, when she went for the interview, she picked up the toilet paper. She has not even started working. She's not part of the organization.
卫生纸捡起来放进去。
She picked it up.
那她的老板看到了之后
When the boss saw it, the boss appreciated her
这个姑
actions.
娘是一个有责任心的
And what does it tell? It shows that this person
心细的人
is responsible
对
and is
其实我们在
meticulous.
工作中有很多人说，看有没有到6点，6点一到
Actually, a lot of people, when they work, they
吊
watch
车
the
哈
clock all the
见着那
time.
个建筑工人吊车，钢筋转到一半，6点到。
Can you imagine a person who is actually a crane operator? You look at the time, it's 6 o'clock, you are still lifting the crane halfway.
我也不管，就跳
And what happens? You let it go?
说着有点玩笑
Although this is
很多
a
人工作的
joke,
时候是这样的
but it's a type
我
of
的劳
attitude
法
that
就是
people
这样
have.
劳工法就是这样
Some
的
people are very
但是呢
focused. They have
都
good
这么
work
做的人是
attitudes.
普通人，对不对？
But these can only be
但是
ordinary
付出更多
person.
的人呢，才是佼佼者。
But you want to excel, you want to be beyond ordinary person. You want to be responsible, you want to work the extra
变成
mile.
主人，从打工者哈，所以这些变化都不是白得来的，
So all
都
this
是你付
change
出的
didn't
结果
happen for
对不
nothing.
对？所以艾
Or
莉的
this
这
work.
些从一个小动作
So
上
for
来
her,
看，其实
from
让
a
人
very
看
low
到了
level work,
更长
her
久的一
one
种希望
actions of her,
是一种很好的素质的一
it
个
is
姑
a
娘
demonstration of a
嗯
good
之后在
personalities
工
and
作中
good
再接触的时
character.
候发现这人他喜欢观察，
And the other thing about her is that she
掌握老
loved to
板的各
observe
种
and she
喜
loved
欢
to
爱好，他
analyze.
们才能搭配啊。说老板一进门的脚
And
步
that's
声就
why
能知
they're
道
able to
今天心
cooperate
情不
very
好
well.
一杯黑咖啡。
The moment that she can listen at the boss expressions, look at the boss expressions, and know what type of drinks the boss
你知道
wants.
最值得当什么吗？当领头者。
I think a person who is
所以
very
那个打仗的
observant,
三军
they are
将领
good
观察敌
leaders.
情，说哎有蛛丝马迹，说这样做，那样打，对吧？
So they are able to look for
那
sign
一般
and then
跟着跑的人
strategize
那你打
accordingly.
为啥呀？这有这些蛛丝马迹你都没看过啊！你不
So it's
在乎
just
对
like
不
the
对
general before they go on the fight.
那是指
By
挥官
looking
的
at all
事
this
情，为
sign,
我传唤
they will determine
所
what
以
is the
还有一部分
strategies
就是
involved.
落后者的心态，就是这个不是我的事儿，我不管。
But some people,
就是说你
they're
发过面，我
ignorance.
那打就完
They
了。
feel that it's not
有
their
人跑过去
matters
就不
and
打
they just
就是
ignore. But how can you
这
be
样
a
的士
general
兵多
or
的
a leader for that
之所
matter?
以成为士兵，就是他不动脑子，
Well, the
之所以
reason
成
why
为
they are
一个元
soldiers is
帅
because
呢
they refuse to use
他
the
是不在于
brains.
他的拼命的精神，而是就是观察分析的能力。
They lacked the ability to
这样
observe
观
and the
察
ability to
分析，
analyze.
又善于总结。
And if
所以
you're
他第一
able
个
to
老
do
板
that and you're able to
给他
come
打了一
to
个很
draw
好的基础，
conclusions,
这就是
you
管
will
理学的基础。
receive.
对，
你听完了这么多的汇报和观察之后，其实
So
你
what the
给我
boss
写一份
wants her
工
to
作
do
报告
is that after she
你看
listened
到
to
哪
all
几个点
the
需要解决的
meetings,
问题，
ask her to come up with the
是。
summaries.
这不就是管理学吗？
What is that? That is the
这
management
这个让
skills.
我想起来，对不起，我堵着你的话了哈。这我想起来哈，你看中国唯一的一个女皇就是武大姐哈，武则天啊。
We know that in
武则天
China,
人家
the
为什么
first
当女
empress
皇
is
知道吗
actually
有一
Empress
件事
Wu.
就提前她进入皇帝办公状态。
嗯，
她老
Actually,
公
for
就看
her,
说哎呀，晚上忙着呢，两个
because
妻
the
子
emperor
忙
was
呢我
always
得
busy,
是吧？
she
我得
actually
硬
worked
回下
for
去。
the emperor.
哎，小五，你帮我
Because the emperor was busy,
给我
so she
把那些
asked
批
the
批
empress.
一下。
That time she
我也没
wasn't
心
even
批呀，我也
doing
没那
all
脑
the
子批呀，
government
是不是？
work.
那河
She
南我也
had
没
to
去
look
过
at
呀。
it. She
你帮
start
我
to
看看，
study
你觉
studies
得合适
all.
呢，你还帮我批，之后你读给我听，我觉得是不是合适？
So
我觉
in
得
the
合适，
end, she
这样
helps
就是
to
奏奏
gather
跟
all
批
the
真好
country
了，就
matters.
发下去。
She summarized it
结果
and
武则天
she
呢，
come
一
up
熬
with
就一整宿，
suggestions to the
帮
emperor and
替
read
皇
to the
帝
emperor.
批奏折，
So helping the emperor
他
to
就开
do
始
his
换位
daily
思考
task.
啊。哎，这个皇
And
帝在这
then
种时候遇到这种问题，应该
she
怎么
tried
解
to
决？
think differently. She tried to imagine that if she was
而
the
且一
emperor,
批也就
how
2、3
would she
年下
do?
去。
嗯，
其实他都懂得了怎么做皇帝，怎么
So
做
she
皇
already
帝。
know how to become the emperor.
他批的东西哈，叫当时的皇帝说：“哎呀，这小丫头片子，你想的比我想的还周到。”
And the decisions that she
真的
made
不错，
for
这
the
皇帝应该
emperor,
由你来
it
当
was
所以这
gained
是皇帝
praise by
的
the
启发
emperor.
的。
The
就
emperor
算
said
了，
that,
我听
wow,
话。
not bad. The
就是这样，
decisions
武则
that you
天
make
是这么
is
来的。
even better than what I
所以
would have
他
thought
的
of.
全局的观念哈，就得到早早的训练。
And that's why she was
所以
trained at a
我们
very
这
early
里这
stage.
个
艾丽，
艾
So for Ellie, you can listen again to her stories. I will not discuss further, but you can listen to her experience, and we just gave a present for her. It is also another chanting beads, very auspicious and very beautiful. And wishing you health, longevities, and happiness. Thank you, Master.
对，那师父，我们也是刚才听了好几个网友的故事哈，师父给予我们特别好的关于情商。
Master, you have given us very good guidance in terms of EQ.
在各种各样的人际关系中啊，有着不同的困惑哈。
And we find that people have a lot of worries, and I find that it is important to have good EQ. So we talk about EQ. What is the relationships?
这个原因呢，就是因为我们离不开，就是人哈，离不开。
So as a human beings, we live in a social environment. We need people to offer helps to us. It is important to have support. Important for social relationship network.
老人得病，甚至住养老院，甚至找人接送一下老人，接送一下车等等的。哎呀，没完没了，还自己找工作，啊，甚至希望说有没有同学认识我们老板啦，推荐。
Even for children, when the children see your children or your old folks are sick, do you need people to help you? Yes, there are many matters that you need a social network. So if you have a social network, and if you enter society, it will be easier for livelihood as well as career development.
更高的情商的这个表现哈，将这个自己的各种的人际关系处理好，这会给我们带来特别多的帮助。
So when we manage the relationship well, it will bring us a lot of advantage and benefits.
就是家庭关系吧。
First is family relationships.
在我们假设哈，今天我们就在上海。
So let's say we are in Shanghai now.
可以取世界任何一个城市的名字哈，在巴黎也行啊。
You can be in Paris.
上海的话，我们以华人为主来。
As a Chinese.
就是这样。如果我们人在上海，我是上海人，哎，那我刚到这来，人生地不熟。
If I'm in Shanghai or in Paris, you are in a new environment. You do not know the place.
加强自己的这种社交呢。
You will want to have a social network with your people from the same place.
咱没读过大学呀，啊。
同乡啊，
同乡
People of the same village.
有没有上海同乡啊
You have people from Shanghai?
上海都是上海人。
就是在上海的，比方说，
咱们说我是在上海的河北人吧。
Maybe I'm Hebei and I'm in Shanghai. Do I have people from fellow people from Hebei?
先上网找。
So you go to the internet to find people of the same place.
这个谁是河北来的哈
You may find a few friends from Hebei. You just want to have a chance to meet people like my people of the same village. I'm just giving you as an example. It's that way of creating a sense of closeness. It is trying to find a common ground. So they may talk about their hometown, whether changes to the hometown. So it may be 3, 5, or more. When they start to chit-chat, they start to become friends. Where are you from? Are you from Shijiazhuang? Oh, are you from the suburb areas? Me too. I stay there too. And the more you share, you find more common ground. And once you start to have this relatedness, suddenly you talk about your village and you start to share some common stories. Oh, do you know Teacher Zhang? Yes, I'm also a student of Teacher Zhang. And the most you talk, you realize that you studied in the same school. I say, well, you're doing well in Shanghai. What are you doing in Shanghai? I'm just a very superintendent in the police force. That's really high level. So, Wuli, which part of Hebei are you from? And they start to chit-chat about their hometown, home village. So you come to Shanghai because you try to avoid the earthquake in your hometown? That's a good place. Shanghai is a good place. It's a place that can feed you well. So what job are you in? I'm just doing some trading. That's great. I just needed money. So the more they say, they decide to build this closeness, the sense of common ground. Well, they just get to know one another. Come, let's have a WeChat. So then you start to communicate with one another. So then they become friends. What do you like? Do you like to exercise? And then they start to do some sports together. And next time, the person may say that I have 4 common friends from the same place. Actually, they live closer to you. And then they gather again. And to build and expand in this social network. Even for relationships, it is very good even for life partners. That's why this social relationships is very important. So this social network is so important. In fact, the family is very close. Maybe friends, secondary school friends, kindergarten friends. Once we have that relationships, when they have a good friends in the same village, and when they have a gathering, everyone's from the same village gather together. It's easy to solve problems. Sometimes when you have people who can't be so this is the art of public relations. So if the person reach a very high-ranking positions, like let's say the presidents or the vice presidents, they will need to think of who are good people, capable people. And when you have this social network, the moment you may be the recommended one.
小心一点，我们应该在情商上面把握哪些重要点呢？
So are there certain points that we have to be aware in that emotional intelligence? How do we know that we do not draw the wrong jokes? What should we observe? So in the social settings, the basic things is that you must expand the path so that you have more friends. So you want to build this network, this social network and relationships. There are different aspects. I think firstly, you can give me some suggestions. One is a different perspective, things from empathy to have empathy. Like just now the story that we share about the mom-in-law and the daughter-in-law. It's just that the mom-in-law rushed into the room because the grandchild was crying. So she rushed in without realizing that the daughter-in-law was unclothed. So this daughter-in-law is quite young when she had a baby. So she's young. But then she lacked the experience. Nobody teach her. She didn't know that actually the mother-in-law, the parents-in-law that helped to give her is actually helping her a lot. Look at the one that I shared. There are some who, as parents-in-law, they say that they want to help their grandchildren. They don't want to raise the grandchildren. Actually, I've not been in many positions, but what I do is that when I try to give advice, I try to put myself into the position of the other person, to have empathy. So that's why it's important for us to have broad-based knowledge. So firstly, it's empathy. Secondly, you must learn tolerance. And you want to be more all-encompassing. You want to be more magnanimous. Don't treat this too seriously when someone says words that hurt you. That's my own feelings. For me, I don't have very good memories, and after a while, I forget about what people said. Did you scold me? Why is it that I didn't remember? It's not that I purposely try not to. It's not I purposely pretend that I don't remember. Indeed, I don't remember.
就是记性不好，所以你是个好人，你还对我好。我骂了你，你都不计较。不管好不好，你要有一个包容、宽容的心哈。你要处处去记仇。
So you must remember, do not hold grudges. If you hold grudges, you will making your path narrower. So you want to make sure that your path become broader. So in the social network, it is important that you manage well. So you must learn to be understanding. And you endure more. If people create the jokes, be more tolerant and be more forgiving.
我就受不了的，当然因为太瘦他是受不了是正常，因为能量匮乏嘛，走走八卦就好了。但是我们想把这个
So for us, once we're able to manage this EQ, you must receive it just like just now the first example. The senior Dharma sister commented that the lady was too thin. If you just accept it, you don't treat it too seriously. Be more generous and forgiving. So when you're more generous and more forgiving, will you be able to accept something that's greater? So in life, usually we can accept things that are positive, but what about things that have negative impact? Or maybe you lose your jobs, maybe you lost the money, or people commented or say bad things about you. Well, it doesn't matter. Don't treat it too seriously. You just treat it as tomorrow will be a better day. For me, I have no script. This is how I feel. So if people say bad things about me, I will work harder so that I can be a better person. Today, I have a rest. I will tell interesting stories to my families and friends so that they will actually learn from it. So it is important to gather more wisdoms and more knowledge. Some people who don't have a job after 3 months after graduations, they start to worry. Why should you worry? You treat it as a time to rest. You rest for the future. Because the slower you get a job, it just means that you have more responsibilities in the future. You will be dragons or you will become phoenix in the future when you fly even harder. So don't feel bad that you can't find a job yet. No. What you should do is that now you should read widely, vastly, read all the books that you're interested in, because this is a time for you to gain knowledge. And also one thing you want to remember that sometimes we say things unintentionally, but we may harm others with our words. And that's why there's this saying that you must think twice before you speak. Some people, there's this saying that before you start to do your work, you already forms enemies, think before you speak. That is important for you to increase your emotional intelligence. That is very important to think before you speak.
所以呢，就不要说那个，尽量不要说容易让自己痛快。说这句话，让自己觉得痛快的那个用词，往往是别人就会受伤。就是不要说硬话。
Do not say words that are hard, difficult to receive.
要考虑3天，最少哪怕
When you have trouble, think of it 3 days.
之后再说。
Take 3 deep breaths before you speak, just in case you speak unintentionally and harm others, hurt others.
要学会示弱服软，示弱与服软，好吧？真正高手哈，
The true great person.
谁都别惹我。真正高手，反而你看，在这个很多电影之中
If you look at a lot of movies,
混子，就说你在我这儿卖艺，你在我这儿卖糖葫芦都不行，收保护费，要不然老子灭了你之类的哈，我把你赶出城去。但是往往特别的高手呢，就是特别的宽容哈，所以你要学会接受那些东西。
So you realize that people at high level, they tend to be very magnanimous, and they can treat everyone. Everyone can make jokes about them. I think this belongs to category of people that have very high IQ and high EQ. So be vulnerable.
是吧？尤其是地藏经之中，佛咋说的？给众位大佬们。
What did the Earth Bodhisattva say? Is that when you say, you must speak with kindness, speak with a smile. Is that why do you say that? Is you want to let the other person feel happy and feel confidence. You want to learn to be like that. Well, there's so many things that you want to watch out for. And the other thing is that in harmony, you create wealth. It is just as an example. So ability makes you rich. At least you have no enemies. Whether is it because of work, or is it in your social settings, in your social network? When you're an amiable person, it will help you to build and develop further social relationships and eventually help you create wealth. If you're in sales, very soon you'll become rich. If you sell, everyone is selling the same items, but you have better attitudes, you are able to sweet talk your clients, you find that your sales will be much better than others. Say we go to the shops. The things is not too expensive anyway. But if you set a lot of rules, if you are someone who wear a wig, who wear a straw hat, or wears sunglasses, you cannot come into my shops. If you treat everyone as a thief, who will want to patronize your shops? Or if the person wear a jacket or jackets over, you have to take out your jackets before you enter the shops. But if you are a general store boss, you have no such requirements. You be of a good service to your clients. You find that your customers will be very happy, or you put on a happy face and smile at all your customers. Then you will definitely create wealth. Be a person, or harmony leads to wealth.
提醒一点反差的东西。如果有人对你有更多的赞美
If a person has more praise of you, don't treat it too seriously.
都是礼节性语言嘛。
because they are just nice forms of greetings. So they wear a skirt, it's beautiful. And let's say she's in her 50s, she's a bit plumped. She should wear XL size, but she wear a M size. So it's very obvious. You feel like you can actually advertise for tires. So the moment she swing in front of you, she asks whether she looks good. You say, I'm good, it's good. Why is it that you are startled in your speech? And I have to say, well, it's actually good. It looks good. Very good looking. It looks really good in that. But if you change the size, it'll be better. What size is it? XL. Why are you just telling me that I'm fat? No, you're not fat. You are like a wealthy lady. No, it's not. You are a wealthy lady. You're wealthy. No, it's not that you're fat. You are just wealthy. I can see that your palms looks like a wealthy person. Show me your palms. You have the palms of a wealthy one. And the person heard that and very happy. I gave her another shirt for free. So when people praise you, don't take praises seriously. So when you're being praised too much, maybe that person has purpose. There's a purpose. If a person come and praise you, well, they're there to sell products to you. We must know that this is part of the don't take it seriously. This is the social interactions among people. So be cautious with praise. Thank you, Master, for the reminder. Don't be fooled with continuous praise. Thank you, Masters, for giving us so many good examples of this points. Ways to increase emotional intelligence. So, Master, we talk about many emotional intelligence stories, and we talk about their different levels of emotional intelligence, multi-layered. I did some thought on this. Well, maybe it's not so complete. Well, the first thing when we talk about EQ, we just feel that the person is has very good reactions, very observant, know what's right, what's wrong, or they can sing praise, and they can change the situations. So it's a sign that people can react very quickly. Or it just means that people are very good at sales. Everyone here is a guest. They know how to treat everyone well. I consider them as two different levels. The first, the lowest level, it is for the fact of survival. And that's why they have the EQ reactions. Basic emotional intelligence is for survival. So the smart, warm, good at socializing and familiar with people so that they can sell effectively. I remember Master talk about a story of a shoemaker. He will say different things to different people. He will actually make it into a song. And the buyer was very happy whenever they hear the songs because the shoemaker was singing praise. Say a Hebei person called Shanghai have no friends, he will try the best to find fellow Hebei folks. Why? It's in order for survival. But this is the reality. Although it may sound a little bit pitiful, but this is the reality. So saying good things and all this is in order to help them to survive. And the second category is that you want to elevate, you want to add values, or getting promoted. So it's like icing on the cake. You have the abilities and you have some wisdoms to elevate, but they have space to elevate to be better. It is just like Ellie that we talk about in one of the examples that we shared earlier. In fact, they find that they may have a lot of power or a lot of energy that have yet to be explored. Say you have a job, you have a house. So does it mean that you stopped, you avoid people? No, then you just suddenly lack any EQ. So, for example, from a working class, you become a management staff, and you are able to handle the whole project well. There are many people that have these abilities. Some can help, can guide 7, some can guide as hundreds. So like it's just like in the army, different ranks, like a patrol, a platoons, they can guide different numbers of people. So the higher level, your rank, you manage more people. At a general level, you can even be in charge of 10,000 of people, 10,000 of soldiers. So it's different in the person's wisdoms and abilities. So when we resolve the basic needs, and if you have the abilities, you can do better. You want to enhance your productivities, or you want to elevate your various abilities. They may not have a much bigger pursuit, but they feel that they can elevate their energy level. They want to have a better life. So this is the second level, the intermediate level. So the third level that I mentioned, which is the high level. High level, it's big emotional intelligence. When you reach a much higher level, it is even harder to express it. What is it like? They have a bigger life pursuit, very noble pursuit in life. And not only that, they feel that they just want to pursue that. That is the sole pursuit in their life. Their grand aspirations. For example, shoemakers, someone want to follow him, and after that, the son follow him. Maybe it's like a joke. He says that my family is just shoemakers. Maybe it's a way of self-pity. But when you do this, you will not feel like you have been humiliated, or you will feel that you will do well. Well, I am a very good shoemaker. In fact, you feel gloried because of a job. It's just like, for example, a principal. Well, I'm a good principal because I have a mission in mind. Because you have a mission. So this person also have high level of EQ, and that's with a life missions. Like, for example, when we talk about Bill Gates, or some who are very successful in their career. Actually, they have very high level of emotional intelligence. In fact, a lot of time when they're in the interviews, when these great leaders are interviewed, you look at the way that they react in the interviews, you will find out why is it that they reacted so well in the interviews.
哇，你这个觉得他哪像一个技术工作者，你感觉他就是一个最会销售的这种老板。
没错，
哎，
就但是呢，他们这种人呢，就可能不像最初级的。
But for people like this, these great leaders, they are not the low level, because it's part of their profound wisdoms. But doesn't mean that they are very good at it. No. For example, I use this phone. It's iPhone. I use the Apple phone. The CEO has already passed on. Steve Jobs, who was the co-founder of Apple. Do you think he has high emotional intelligence? I think I have my own reserved opinions. I see that a lot of reports, although he's a CEO, but he's not good at his speech. He didn't seem to have very good interpersonal relationships. His subordinates feared him, and he has a volatile temper. And how she treats the girlfriend who helped him bear the child, I feel that he's not very humane. Doesn't seem to have very high emotional intelligence. But his career, he has very high intelligence. So if a person's energy, all the energy is used in social interactions, do you think you'll be able to create such a special products?
至少有一种名字，当代的名字，华人世界当中很熟悉的有一个新的网络名字，你们都知道，叫匠人精神，听说过吧？
是是是。
匠人精神来自于日本的书，对不对？经常描述说，你看。
So actually, there is this saying that you are like a craftsman. You have the mindset of a craftsman. You try to perfect it. There's this. This is very common in Japan because a lot of Japanese, they are very fine craftsmen. They are very pay a lot of attention to the details. So we say that you have the mentality of a craftsman.
我做这个东西比他那个还好，做成木头的鲁班锁，我那个锁上去我都打不开，啊，多精细呀，对不对？大家去模仿这个匠人的精神，那个精神是什么呢
？So what exactly is that?
一丝不苟
Being very meticulous.
绝对严格
You are very strict.
绝不怕苦
And you can endure pain. The spirits of a craftsman. So Steve Jobs, when you do one, you can do that. But what about if you can do hundreds? I've been using the Apple phones for many years. I've tried different brands. Why did I use Apple? After, as a user, I find that it's very easy to use. And it's generally saved. This is the truth. So every time we want to change a phone, we always compare about Apples with other brands. But actually, after we use that other brands for 3 months, we find that it's very awkward. So we change it to Apple. So in modern time, they have the best technologies. It's very intuitive. It is not just him alone. It is his whole development teams, his product teams. They are very stringent with the product developments, with the whole entire productions and operations process.
对不对？你记得吗？有一个品牌的手机，那个电池爆了炸之后，后来咱们拿那个手机上飞机，人都不让上。
Remember, there was a phone that has a batteries that exploded. When we tried to get onto the plane, the air stewardess refused to let us bring the phone on board because they're afraid that the batteries may explode again. But for Apple's, we have no issues when we try to bring the Apple's phone onto the plane. Actually, we are all the beneficiaries of the spirits of a craftsman. But if a person who has high emotional intelligence coupled with spirits of a craftsman, is it better? But Steve Jobs, he is a scientist in nature. And he is a person who ensures the operations of the company. So he himself determines the lifelines of the organizations. Can you imagine different departments, the engineers, different products, process? If let's say you need to So imagine that he is not so meticulous. Someone, the end user, hold the phone and after raining they use it, it may be spoiled. So for him, the spirit of a craftsman, he needs to be very stringent with all his workers. Then it's possible for his products to be great. In fact, a lot of global brands, they are no longer there, cease to exist. I've used a couple of them. I don't want to mention the brands, but they cease to exist. It's just not so nice to use, not so intuitive. Just now, I talked about the batteries explosions. You don't know where it happens. Whether it happens at the batteries developer, it's possible. Do you know how how much loss in the product itself? Until today, they're still paying for it. And because of the previous experience, they find that it's difficult for them to sell the phone. It's hard for them to bring back the market share again. What if it explodes one more time? Do you dare to use it? Can you imagine you use the phone halfway and the batteries explode? It happens before. So everything has impact, and the impact can be 10 years. A few brands, smartphone brands, in fact, a lot of them cease to exist. So there are so much product designed, and all the way to sales. If you are not stringent with the whole process, how do you ensure quality control? If you cannot ensure quality control, then how do you ensure that its usabilities? And that's why Steve Jobs, he wants to make sure that a good products can be brought to market safely. He wants to do that, and as a result, he's become very demanding with his staff, and if he's paying very high salaries to his staff and the staff cannot deliver, he will fire them. Imagine that he's just feeding this group of people who doesn't produce results and just paying high salaries to them. Do you think Apple computers can show such results? No. It also didn't follow the law of nature. So what he did was correct. It is not that he has no EQ, but he has great EQ.
小情小爱的人哈，专注于小情小爱的人，就容易失去他的本业和他的正直乃至最大的那种成就，知道吗？
Do not focus on the small level or low level of EQ.
木匠活，说木匠活做的一流的，皇帝做成是最后一流的，对不对？就让这一个大太监魏忠贤把整个国家所有的权力全部集中在一个太监手里头。这我觉得朱元璋如果活过来的话，非把他的孙子给掐死了。
You know, the Zhu Yuanzhang, the emperor, the grandson, one of the grandson was so focused into doing the craftsman. He's so focused that he left the government of the governing of the countries to the eunuchs.
那还有那小皇帝不务正业，天天在后宫上修炼，在那玩女人，那你不是个皇帝呀。
So they do not fit the role of an emperor, because as a role of the emperor, you need to manage the country.
人管的时候，他总觉得他总吃醋，怎么群臣都听你的？哎呀，是吧？那实际上你不管呢，你27年没露过面。
So the emperor, for 27 years, he didn't even show his face. So in the positions that you have, you must be able to do the job well. So for him, in the case of Steve Jobs, his manifestations of EQ is actually a much higher level. He showed profound wisdom because he have these missions. I think all of you know about his missions, right? He wants to create the best smartphone to serve all people. When he was young, he was like everyone young, youthful. He was very mischievous. And then he went to India. It is only in India that he realized that it is so, when he went to rural India, he find that even when they are actually very rural in nature, and they're very primitive even in cultivations of the rice. And that leads him to create a mission that he wants to bring better life to the human race. And that's why his achievements, his emotional intelligence, if I feel that he is a person of great wisdoms, it's beyond emotional intelligence. Person of such pursuit, he doesn't have to be like the person who is selling the shoes or selling the vegetables and praise easily. He is beyond that. He's beyond that at the first level. So actually, there's a person who this businessman. He is responsible for all the glasses of all the cars manufactured worldwide. He has a huge business. He may start from a very low level of EQ. He can be just a salesperson, but he moves up the rank. And that's because of his pursuit in life as well. Some people may say that they are very good at building relationships with people. They always buy presents for his friends and colleagues. So let's say you have a helper at home, and on your birthday, the helper buy you a phone or a cake, birthday cake. Do you follow the helper to other house to do cleaning? For us, human beings, we want to pursue higher level. We do not want to move at the lower level. Everyone want to move higher. So your status, your abilities, if you are too low, it's still better that to have some form of emotional intelligence. But if you are at a high level, You do not need to move back, to reverse back, to use at the lower level. No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to reverse yourself. You don't have to reverse your EQ to lower level, to level 1 or level 2, to the basic level of survival or mid-level icing on the cake. If you have already attained a high level. Do you want to listen to more? We've talked for 2 hours. There's someone that's amazing person during the Han dynasties. It's 2,000 years ago. There's this Emperor Liu Bang. He fought with Xiang Yu. They fought for control. Who is a competitor for Liu Bang, also a political leader. Before that, he was actually a descendant of a king of a kingdom. Before the Han, because during the Qing dynasty, the Emperor Qing actually destroyed 7 kingdoms to create the Qing dynasties. So it's about 800 to 1,000 years ago during that era. So it becomes one country. But everyone's are not used to having one country. They are used to kingdoms. They are used to having multiple kingdoms. So they want to rebel. So when Emperor Qing died, his son becomes the emperor. But the son is not as strong as Emperor Qing. So that's why there's a group of rebels. So Liu Bang is one of them. Xiang Yu is one of them. But Liu Bang, his background, he was just someone from the remote village. He's just in charge of the social stabilities of his village. He ensured law and order in his village. He's such a person. So he's good with the good and the bad. He's a little bit like a gangster, a gang leader. So the wife, Liu Bang's wife, is Lü. So these Lü businessmen come to this village. He wants to have his 60th birthday. So he invited many renowned people, and he have a request and say that everyone needs to bring a present and you need to register your presents. If the price of the present is not good enough, you should not enter to the banquet. Say for example, you need to at least give 2,000 and above, and if you come with a gift beyond $2,000, you sit on the east side. So if you have certain values, you go to the west side. So they actually subcategorize based on the values of the gifts. So the highest is actually go to the special rooms at the east side. So Liu Bang, what is his ranking? He's just taking care of the law and order in the village. So he came here and said, "Why are you here?" And he didn't dress very well. And he came. "Who are you? Do you bring any presents?" "Yes, I have 10,000 gifts," he said. "Wow, where is the present? You just record that." "Wow, that's beyond that. You have to go to the east room." And that's why they're saying that the east side, there's a story that the son-in-law will sit on the east side. It started from then. So he's just getting his way into the highest level, the room to get in. So what do you think? How good is his abilities to talk? Although he didn't even pay a single cent, but he was managed to enjoy the feast as well. He's very.
吃的饭1个钱没有，还说拿1万。
哎，是。
可是他这个动作，并没影响到另外一个人的情商，就是这个富贵的吕老员外的眼神。
吕太公，
吕太公一会儿说，哎，说有1万的他的礼物听见，哎，他掏1万的是谁呀
？Then when Liu Taigong, who is the father-in-law, said, "Who is the one that gave the 10,000 gift?" and said, "That's the one." And immediately, Liu Gong immediately see Liu Bang's, and he likes Liu Bang's futures, and he likes Liu Bang. And it's wow, he has a bright future. He's not from human level. And ask him, "Are you married?" And when Liu Bang said, "No, he's not married." "Well, if you marry my daughter, I'll give you more money." And Liu Bang said, "No, I don't want." "Is it the daughter very ugly, that's why you need to give me money?" "No, my daughter is actually quite good looking." "Okay, I'll just bear with her." And eventually, she became Lü Hou, Empress Lü. So he sat on the eastern side. It's like the locations that's given to him was actually very good, and it's like the prime locations. So Liu Bang has great wisdoms and great EQ.
在当时的那个时期呢，大家有各种共同尊崇的一位，就是代表天下最有道义的一个人，他们称为叫义帝。
During that time, there's this ED that everybody feels that he is even higher level.
我们都去反秦朝嘛，反秦始皇的儿子统治。
Because everyone don't like Qin Shi Huang's son, the Emperor's Qing's son, because they felt that he's being cruel to the people.
咸阳是他们的首都。
Xianyang is the capital.
陕西省。
It's at Shaanxi province at Xi'an side. It's around the area. That's their capital. That's where the palace is. And Liu Bang in front of Yidi and Xiang Yu, they have a deal. Whoever won that can becomes the emperor. Who went to Xianyang, who can becomes the emperor. Who will becomes the emperor. Well, it sounds fair. So eventually, it was Liu Bang that first fought all the way to Shenyang, the capital. When he went to Shenyang, when you look at the palace, it was so magnificent and beautiful. There's a lot of beautiful carvings and delicate carvings. It took many years to build it. It's so opulent. It is like a palace of the deities. Liu Bang has never seen such a magnificent buildings. So when he enters the palace, he cannot see the beautiful ladies there. Everyone is so beautiful. He look at all the beautiful ladies and say, "Wow, so amazing." Well, he has so many soldiers. He's like rebels because his background is a villageman and also a rebel. And he told his soldiers, "You go back first. I want to enjoy myself here with the beautiful ladies. You can all head back first. Let me enjoy myself." And one of his strategists said, "You know who is it? Zhang Liang." Zhang Liang is during the Han Dynasty is one who is a very good and capable strategist. Immediately, he hold Liu Bang back and said, "I think it's wrong, right? We came here, we rebels. We trying to topple the emperor. We're trying to topple the emperor because emperor was very cruel to the people. So these are all the signs of his bad deeds. Well, you're not leaving tonight. You want to be like Emperor Qing? Everybody will dislike you." At the moment when Zhang Liang said that, it caught immediately. Liu Bang realized it. So when he heard that, he said, yeah, I'm not such a person. And he says goodbye to all the beautiful ladies in the palace. He gave up all. It is not that these are not attractive to him. Oh, well, it's not attractive to him. Why do they fight so hard in the battles? Of course, he will look forward to having a better life, to enjoy a better life. These are all good stuff. Why don't they not like it, right? But he has to go. And that's what Zhang Liang told you. You have to go. You have to let go of this. And Liu Bang agreed to leave. Why did Liu Bang agree to leave with Zhang Liang? Why? Because he have higher level of missions. His mission was to topple the cruel emperor, the Emperor Qing. He would not let his own personal feelings and personal desire and lust to affect him. He said, Zhang Liang, you're right. What you say is right. Let's go. So they moved far, and they didn't want to affect everyone in the capital. And he even said that you should not kill anyone in the capital. Whoever they kill, you will be slaughtered as well. So as a result, all his soldiers, dare not intimidate any of the commoners. And in fact, all the beautiful ladies there, all the gold and all the jewels and all the precious items. Actually, a lot of times, a lot of the enemy armies, when they enter the palace, they will raid the palace. But not for Liu Bang. In fact, he thanked Zhang Liang for reminding him to let go of all this. 2 months later, Xiang Yu also managed to conquer the capital. The moment he got in, he already heard that Liu Bang already entered the capital, but he left. And he said, wow, maybe there's a trap here. He also has some strategies as well. After they talk about it, and say, I'm not going in as well. But there's so many precious items, so many beautiful ladies. If I don't get it, who get it? Let's burn it. So he burned away the entire palace. The moment he burned it, what does it represent? After he burned it, everybody scolded Xiang Yu. All commoners scolded Xiang Yu. Why? Because to build this palace, they have spent massive funds, massive efforts. There's so much sweat to build this emperor, to build this palace. It's already built. Why do you burn it away? But do you know how Xiang Yu think? If I cannot get it, I will destroy it. And that's why towards the end, of course, eventually when they win, so eventually Liu Bang won and becomes the Han dynasty, becomes the founding emperor of the Han dynasty. That's Liu Bang. If you think about it, 2 of them, who is kinder between the 2? It's Liu Bang. Yes. You want to be the new emperor. It's important for you to love your people. You must gain the affections and love of your people. Does he have high EQ? The moment his strategist reminded him, why is it that he didn't go in? Why is it Xiang Yu is dumped? He didn't get it and he burned it. So the commoner would think, are you here to love the people or are you here to destroy people? Do you think the heavens will let him stay? In the end, he died. And that's because of his fate. Because he was too brutal. It doesn't matter whether you belong to the descendants of some noble families. Why should the ladies there in the palace love you? Well, the palace is built well. Is it sinful? Why do you build it? It took so many years, 6-7 years to build the palace. How long does it take to burn it? 3 months. It took them 3 months to burn it. Xiang Yu burned the palace because he felt that if I cannot get it, nobody should get it too. And not only that, when they entered the palace, they steal, they stole, they robbed, they do all the bad deeds. Do you think they treat the people with kindness? No, they are like devils. Do you think the commoners will be unhappy and they want to retaliate? So it is not just a choice of the humans, of the commoner, it's a choice of the heaven as well. And because of that, in the end, Liu Bang managed to create a new kingdom. So Liu Bang is one of the great emperor in the Chinese history. Thank you, Master. So you can see the difference. You can see the difference between the two.
你想他的手下，很多人说我今天有几十万兵，我杀人如麻，甚至我杀到我脑子都麻了，我都不会思考了，你还敢劝我？这种好机会来的时候，你不让我去沾光，不让我去享受，我杀了你。
How would the soldier think?
君王哈，连他最聪明的谋臣都给杀了。这个呢
He was so brutal that he even killed his own strategies.
你看这多好啊，多高的情商，对不对？
But whereas in the case of But that type of wisdom, that type of EQ, it's not low level, it's actually high level, and that's why they can achieve greatness. And that's how a great person works. Maybe he may not be very well educated, but his kindness, his mental spirituality is something that we have to learn. So you can say that it's part of emotional intelligence. It is also not emotional intelligence. It's transcended to higher level. It already transcends the current understanding. So everyone, we are here to learn. It is a form of cultivation. So when the emotional intelligence reaches to a certain level, it is important for us to learn about this emotional intelligence. It seems to slowly open a beautiful wisdom flowers in our mind so that we can lead a more noble life, a more righteous life, and we'll be able to lead a wonderful life. You will have a noble pursuit in life, and that's something that we should learn. Thank you, Master. So emotional intelligence is a cultivator's wisdoms. So there's a saying, not making a sound, but starting, everyone will amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. An insignificant person. Who is it? There's a Han Xin. Han Xin also have transformations in terms of emotional intelligence. Before Han Xin became a warrior and strategist, he was just he just stays in the rural village. He didn't have enough. He came from a broken family. So he don't have enough food. But he has this life greatest pursuit. But he lacked the learning of Tao. But he learned about the warrior. And that's why his knowledge and his wisdoms.
一个小男孩比他大2岁，说你从我裤裆钻过去，这碗饭就是你的。如果打他并不多难，但是我打了他之后，我们彼此打，甚至在打官司，我还怎么成就我伟大的事业呢？
He think about his life passions.
所以他立刻就做出了判断与选择。
So he make a choice when he met with older kids that asked him to crawl underneath his legs to have a rise. So for him, he chose to do that. He said he wants survival, so he endured. Because he want to pursue his greatest wish, greatest aspiration. So he kneeled before gangsters, and in order to eat a bowl of rice. And I think that is also a form of high EQ. Although it may be very humiliating for him, but his abilities is actually demonstrations of high emotional intelligence.
包括经常给他施舍的洗衣服的一位阿姨，对不对？还经常骂他，但是总给他饭吃。
So there is actually a washing lady that always scold him, but also give him clothes, give him food to eat.
这么不好啊！你去种点菜，种点生，我可以教你啊，你都不干，你这个傻子，其实你这个混子，完了还给他饭吃，就这样，他也不急也不火。
So he also endured it. He didn't treat it too much. He stayed silent and calm. He didn't try to explain his noble pursuit in life to illiterate rural washing ladies. But eventually, when he became a strategist, he came back to repay the kindness of this washing lady. He built a palace worth a lot more for her to ensure that she has a good life. So importantly, when we come to learn, we want all of us to be able to look at it at a higher level. We learn to be more generous. We learn to be not petty. We try not to avoid those. We want to see the positive aspect. We want to see more long term. We want our heart to be more tolerant and magnanimous and kind. When these combined, it combined to wisdom. Thank you, Masters. This is so exciting, and this is such a good class. And that's what we should learn as well.
好的，师傅。
对，接下来，
好，就是听完了师傅今天的这样的一席话哈。
After listening to Master's teaching, we feel that we are still in the state of learning and absorbing Master's teaching. But we also want to share a few things. We shared that we have now approached the Medicine Buddha's holy birthday approaches. And there is this Medicine Buddha's annual lamp offerings. There are two very promotional offers. One is wish-fulfilling lights, and one is light for the departed. Thank you, Masters, for giving us these opportunities. So in this period, if you want to have health, longevities, or if you want to accomplish good success, you want to offer this light, hoping that the Medicine Buddha's wisdoms will shine upon us so that our wishes can be fulfilled. And at the same time, we want this very auspicious opportunities. We want to thank Master for guiding us into this class. So we have this along with Buddha's chanting class. And it's going to start on 30th of October till November the 10th. So it is after next week, the following Monday, Asia time. It starts at 7 p.m. It's 2 hours. It will be 12 days, following masters during this auspicious period to have this chanting class. Let us chant sincerely, and may our wishes will all be fulfilled. And we have another good news, and to all our Korean friends, we have a new Chibei Korean version is now available. So now our Korean friends will be able to see Chibei in Korean words as well. You'll find that this is so smooth as you try to understand the blessed items. So we want to thank Masters for giving our Korean friends these opportunities. So welcomes our Korean friends to go to the shops, Chibei shops, to learn more as well. So let's talk about the next live broadcast. The next broadcast will be next Sunday, October the 29th, 7 p.m. That's Vancouver time, 4 a.m. We'll see you again during the next live broadcast. And finally, I wish all health, longevity, health and happiness, and to have great fortunes, and to have great longevities. And see you during the next live broadcast.
小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定，不忧忧无虑。因为有了你，日子不再有哭泣，不再有恐惧。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。 命的真理，修行的意义。因为有了你，日子犹如彩虹般，彩虹般美丽。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了，我快乐了，我美丽了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与您相遇。小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定，不忧忧无虑。因为有了你，日子不再有哭泣，不再有恐惧。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与您相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。